A very good morning to all the lovely mommies from India. I know it would be night time in the US, but we shall figure this out in the next webinars. So welcome to the Family Acute Autism Training Program. And today our topic is developing verbal communication skills amongst our children. My name is Mansi Bhagwedas, and I would like to share my journey with you. I've done my master's in autism from the University of Northampton, and thereby I worked in England for a couple of years. And in 2009, I came back to India and started a center in Hyderabad, south of India, called Care for Autism Center. And we cater to more than 120 children. I've also got trained in North Carolina with Dr. Gary Messibo, and I've done a couple of programs with him. I've also worked in a residential facility in North Carolina, known as the Carolina Living and Learning Center. And I'm also India's first PECS consultant trained by Pyramid Education Consultants, USA. And I have done some training with Lori Frost in Canada. So I would not take much of your time, and let's get started. I have often in my career of around 12 years, I have mostly been asked by parents that my child is diagnosed with autism, but I want to know, when can we talk? When will he start communicating? This is the most asked question. And I always tell parents that we as therapists are going to help you, teach you how to work with your child. But what matters is the day-to-day interactions with your child. You are the person who are going to teach your child how to communicate. As Stephen Shaw says, if you have met a person with autism, you have just met one person with autism. And so as therapists, if we know everything about autism, about communication, how to teach them communication, I think that's not right. Every child teaches us something new. And as parents, you play a major role in developing that verbal communication, social interaction with your child. So we are organizing this parent webinar to enable you to help your child communicate more often with you and help them develop the verbal communication. So what's the first step? This is the basic. You have mostly traveled this journey of teaching your child imitation, eye contact, pointing, gaze, all of those things. But still, what matters the most of all of this is the imitation skills. Imitation plays a very important role in developing the social language and learning. Now, there are few steps which we need to follow. Imitation. When we teach imitation doesn't come easily to our children. But if you try and develop the imitation skills, Trust me, your child is going to speak and is going to speak non-stop. Sometimes we just give up that, oh, my child is not imitating. Oh, he's not able to do this. So what should I do? And many times we just give up on imitation skills because we've tried and tried and tried and it's just not worked. So there are few steps that we need to follow when we teach imitation. However, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on imitation because most of you have gone through this, but I just want to tell you that if you want to restart again on imitation skills and try to embed them in your child, these are the steps. The first is imitation of actions with object. So what does that mean? Use any prop, any object. As we see in the pictures that the mom and the baby are playing with the blocks and then they are imitating to make a phone call. So that's object imitation. Once the child learns object imitation, move on to the body movement without objects. So when I say without objects, those are gestural imitation. Here you can also embed dance and movement therapy. You can introduce some sharing or talks, or you're walking in the park and you just suddenly see a birdie and then you say, oh, look. So that way you can do, while walking, you can involve some jumping and you can have some fun while walking, and those can again be a body movement. You can also introduce some yoga poses or some aerobics, and the child can imitate you. And trust me, these are all fun things, and children really enjoy doing them. The next is once the child gets the actions, imitation action and body movement, move on to oral facial imitation. So he starts looking at your face. A lot of times parents say that my child doesn't even eye contact, and I absolutely feel that to learn communication, eye contact is really important, because unless and until the child doesn't look at you, he doesn't look at your lip movements, it's going to be really hard for him to imitate. So move on to oral facial imitation, and then comes the vocal imitation of sounds and words. So now this is the most crucial aspect, as when I say vocal imitation, it could be any sound. Follow your child. If he says sing ball, say ba ba ba, give him a word. Ball. If he says see an iPad. Nowadays children are a lot inclined towards gadgets. So if he says rhyme, or he says some nursery rhyme of the wheels of the cart go round, wheels of the bus goes round and round. I'm sorry. So you can read between the lights, and maybe he wants the iPad, and so you can introduce the word iPad. Now when you move on from sound to words, there is a sequence of it. Start with the consonant vowel or vowel consonant sounds. So that's what we call as CV and VC words. So those could be Baba, Dada, Nana. So all those words. And once the child gets those words and starts imitating those words, go to CVC words or VCP words. So I hope you get that. I don't want to spend much time on this. So let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. So the step two is, again, I did not tell you, but play. Play is the most important plant in a child's life, whether a child with autism or a typically developing child. Everybody needs play. However, again, there are some ways where we can introduce play in our children's life, and play plays a major role in developing spontaneous communication. So again, I've heard a lot of parents saying that my child doesn't play with me, my child is not interested, or he plays all by himself. So why does that happen? Basically, because our children have got so used to having solitary plays, playing by themselves, or we as parents sometimes feel that, oh, if he's playing, let him play. Why should I disturb him? So, or he's busy doing something. But if you join in and start playing with your child on these points, you will see that the child starts connecting with you. He'll start vocalizing with you, and it's a good opportunity for you to develop the vocabulary. So teach him spontaneous sensory motor play act. So usually this is done in a lot in the OT therapy. So just a quick rewind of what I spoke. I'm really sorry that I was resounding. Didn't realize that. Thanks, Renu, for bringing that up. Now, the first thing that is most important while teaching verbal communication is the role of imitation, teaching imitation skills to our children. The second most important is play. Now, there are different types of plays, and I think all these types of play has a major role in developing verbal communication amongst our children. So the first is the spontaneous sensory motor play act. You will see when a child joins a therapy center, you see there's a sudden spark in his verbal communication, or say making sounds, or he starts connecting with us. And there's no magic that we do, but we involve them in a lot of sensory motor activities, like the occupational therapy does, is making the child do the trampoline, the swing, and the other gross motor, fine motor activities. So these are all the sensory motor play acts, which can easily be done at home, and it would be great if parents involve, because you are able to teach a lot of vocabulary to the child. And it's not about how many words your child knows or how much language your child knows. What matters is your child connects with you. The more he connects, the more he opens up. Usually we lack the connection, in the sense that we as parents always feel that, oh, I want to make my child do this, I want to make my child do that, my child is lagging behind in the mainstream school, he needs to do the academics, he needs to learn the life skills, and that sort of creates a pressure on our children, that their stress and anxiety levels go way too high, and somewhere the play part gets missing. It all gets into more teaching than getting the play thing. So teach your child a lot of sensory motor play act, get involved with him, make him do a lot of functional play act, do symbolic play. When I say functional play act, it's playing with things that are available at home, which he sees in his environment, having a comb or a cup or a spoon or toys. Those will all be a functional play act for him. Symbolic play, again, you make your child introduce a doll or soft toys, and then you can do a lot of pretend play with symbolic play. So you can say, oh, let's make the dolly eat, let's make the dolly dress up, let's comb the dolly's hair, let's take dolly out for shopping. So, you are indirectly teaching your child to play along with something, and you're adding up to his vocabulary. Teach him a lot of role plays, because we say, oh, my child doesn't socialize, he doesn't go out, he doesn't know how to behave in a mall. When I take him out for shopping, he's just all over the place, he keeps running around. So if you start doing role plays at home and introduce the right vocabulary to him, I think this taking him out and having him all over the place will reduce to a great extent. Again, parallel play, you need two people. Again, here a lot of time parents have said that, oh, my child doesn't play with anybody, or he doesn't like to be in a group. Or sometimes it's also a reverse. I would not say that it's only our children, but many a times the so-called typical children also are not very accepting towards our children, and they prefer not to include our children in the group. So if we start parallel play at home with two people, I think the socialization aspect will reduce to a great extent, and our children can be in a group. They can get involved with other children as well. And lastly, a storyboard. A storyboard is something very similar to a social story or a picture book, but this doesn't have too many pictures or too many sentences. It has a clear start, next, and finish. So it's a clear visual board for our children to understand when it starts and what's going to happen next and when we finish. So this is good for children at the beginning level when they are good visually, but once they develop language and they start talking, you can include more pictures, or you can include more words in the storyboard, and you can develop the storyboard, right? So let's move on to the next slide, and the most important. Right. So this is the gist of our today's webinar. A lot of time I have heard that I make my child do this, but he's not interested. I was making my child learn how to write, but he doesn't want to do it. I was teaching my child how to listen, but he doesn't want to. So why does this happen? This happens because our children are not interested in what we want to teach them, right? They are more interested in the activities that they like. And here, the key to teaching communication and language is to observe, listen, and follow your child's initiative. What matters is what the child thinks, likes, feels. How many times have we given this opportunity to our children? We as therapists as well sometimes forget to follow our children. Many times we forget to give them the initiation. We kind of lose patience. We tend to forget that the child is the center for everything that matters. So if you start observing your child, give 5 minutes, let your child be there, give him 5 minutes time, sit back, relax, have a cup of coffee, look what your child is doing. Listen to him. If he has something to say, if he mumbles, if he has little words to say, fine, listen to him and follow. Join in the activity that he is doing. Many times we forget this, that I need to join into what my child does. Rather, we make the child do things that we want him to do. And that's where we lose our children. I hope you get that, right? So the third most important step is the child matters. Observe, listen, and follow your child, right? Step 4. Again, this is initiation versus responding. Now, you would have seen that, or I have also heard that, oh, my child is very good receptively. He follows all the instruction. And so we as well as therapists get so excited that we start teaching our children to follow what we say, and we focus heavily on teaching them responding. So if I say, Mansi, stand up, she stands up. Mansi, go eat. Mansi, say this, she says it. Mansi, let's go play, she goes and plays. Mansi, go ride a bicycle, she goes and rides a bicycle. So here, what I'm doing with Mansi is I'm making her or teaching her how to respond, and I'm making her a good responder. And 90% of the time, this is what happens with our children, that we make them heavily dependent on responding. However, if we are looking for long-term outcomes, it's when children develop initiation, communication, and interaction will happen. Let the child take the initiative. Let him become the initiator. Just observe him. Observe your child. Just give him 5 minutes. That's all you need. The more you observe, the more the child will respond. The more the child will come to you. The more he initiates, the more he bonds with you. And children who are more responsive tend to have difficulties developing language, and that is what happens in most of the cases, that they become great responders, and they will respond only when asked. For example, do you want to eat? Yes. Do you want to eat a burger? Yes. But here we have prompted the child and he has responded saying, yes, I want to eat a burger. But if you give the child an initiation of saying, what would you like to eat? And give him a whole lot of pictures to select or to initiate what he wants to eat, or what he wants to play, or what he wants to wear, I think children respond much better, and they get involved in verbal communication and interaction with us. So I've got 2 pictures over here, and the first one is one of my 3 years old who went to a fair, and she was all fascinated with face painting, and so we allowed her to do face painting. We took the she took the initiative of painting the therapist's face, and from there she started with verbally recognizing and saying the colors that she was painting on my face. So that way, she also made me wear the apron. That's a baby apron, but she wanted me to wear it because that's what she had seen it. And so we allowed her to do what she wanted to do. And the next picture, if you see that's Arjun, and that was a great initiative that he took. He's all fascinated with school bus, and so he arranged the chairs in a way that the seats are arranged in a school bus, and he took a plate that becomes his steering wheel. And great idea by the dad that he drew the school bus, the front of the school bus, making Arjun feel that it's a school bus. Now here in both the cases, when the child has taken the initiation, we as therapists or we as parents should start slowly joining into the play and start developing the vocabulary. So here, as I say, in the first picture, we introduced colors and the name of the colors, and the little one started saying the colors and which part of the body she was putting the colors. So that's how we started enhancing her vocabulary. And in Arjun's case as well, you can start talking about the parts of the bus, or what the driver wears, or what uniform the driver wears, what color uniform the driver wears, who all sits in the school bus, and how many children can sit on in your bus. Or if you just simply join into his play, I think it's a great way to initiate communication amongst our children. So follow your child's lead. It's the most naturalistic approach. Many a times we think that, oh, my child is not interested in anything, but that's not true. He is interested in something. Maybe it could also be just looking in the corner of the wall. You can join him. You can say, oh, what are you looking at? Ah, I see. There is something in there. Oh, you thinking something? So if you make your child feel comfortable in the most naturalistic approach, it really helps them to get connected and start communicating. Now, when I say communication, it could be any form of communication. It could be a non-verbal communication, it could be writing, it could be picture exchange, or it could be verbal. But trust me, the more you connect with your child, the more he's going to vocalize with you. And the earlier you start, the better it is. Now, as I said, why do we need to give our children? Oh, sorry, I think I moved on to the next slide. Sorry. Why do you think that we should give our children the opportunity to initiate? Because it's very difficult for them to shift their attention. It's very similar to what we feel when we are doing something and someone comes and says, "Hey, let's do this," and you say, "Oh no, I'm busy doing something, I'm enjoying this, let me finish this." And since I can verbally say it, the other person understands that. However, with our children, we usually pull them out from something that they are so involved in and make them do activities that we as adults want them to do. And this is where we lose our children, because it's very, very difficult for them to shift their attention, right? They are so focused in what they are doing. They really are enjoying what they are doing, and they are more motivated in doing whatever activity they're involved in. So join in with the child in the activity that is doing. Connect with your child. Slowly introduce words around the activity that is doing. For instance, I had a child who used to love playing with pebbles. And whether it's scorching heat out there in the park or it's raining, she would always like to play with the pebbles. And so what we did was we joined into her pebble games. From there, we slowly started the vocabularies around it. We started teaching her words. We started put the pebbles at different places, and then we started telling her to bring this color pebble, that color pebble, and and she started saying, oh, I want this pebble, I want that pebble. And we started with the art activities with pebbles, and so we worked for a month using only pebbles. And that's how she started communicating. She got more involved. She started loving the therapy center. She was more willing to come. And now it's been 3 years, and she's non-stop now. I mean, you really can't make out that she was a girl who didn't have vocabulary, or she didn't speak. And so it's something very simple. Just observe your child. The more you get involved with your child, the more you motivate your child to interact and learn, right? So that's all it is. Connect with your child. Observe your child attentively. I mean, I know a lot of parents have choices to do, but then you can give 5 minutes, maybe once a week or twice a week, just to observe what your child does. Sit back, see what your child does, wait for your child to initiate and get involved in an activity. So I mean, waiting is like, many times parents say, how long have to wait? Count to 10. Count 10 to yourselves, take a deep breath, and see what your child does. Now, many a times children tend not to show any initiations, or do not show any interest in any activity. So what can you do? Well, try to create an environment where the child may take an initiation. It could be an indoor activity, or it could be an outdoor activity, or it could be just giving him some activity that you feel the child may get involved into. It could also be like his most favorite stimming toy. It could be a lace, or it could be a thread, or it could be anything. And see if the child starts taking the initiation, likes playing with it, starts stimming with it. A lot of time parents have told me that my child just keeps doing stimming. So now again, I would say stimming happens because the child's stress levels or anxiety levels may be high, because we are making the child do something that he or she is not interested in, or we are forcing them to do something that we want them to do. And maybe that is the most difficult task for them, and so they start stimming. Many times this happens. There are other reasons for stimming, but many times this is what happens. So if you start joining your child in his stimming as well, and then come out with something more concrete out of it, I think the stimming issues have also reduced. The stimming issues also reduced to a great extent. But again, it's you need to give your child the right environment to be able to respond. Now, the other way is you follow your child, you look at what your child is doing, and once the child initiates, respond with a lot of interest and enthusiasm. Hey, lovely, that's great. An enthusiastic, interested voices are more attractive to our children, and they respond much better. So here in India, we do a lot of high fives and claps and cheers, and we sing and dance with the child if the child takes an initiative. So start enjoying with your child. Give him that look that, yes, mommy is interested in what you're doing. Lovely, great. Let me join you in the activity that you're doing. And This will help you in connecting with your child and in turn developing his social aspect as well, right? So let's move on to the next one. So when you connect with your child, what happens? He feels he's not alone. Uh, Many times our children feel that though they don't express it, we say our children lack emotions, but they do have emotions and a lot of hidden emotions, which is really difficult for them to show or to express. And the ways they express their emotions are different from the way we express our emotions. And so when they feel that someone is listening to them, they feel more motivated. They are absolutely enthusiastic of doing things, of getting involved with you. Uh, this absolutely is one aspect that again I've heard many times that my child is not motivated in doing anything. Yes, he is not, because you are making him do things that you are interested in or you want your child to do, but the child is not interested in that activity. So if you give him the opportunity to take the initiation and get involved, you will see that the child just opens up. He's so motivated to be with you, to involve you, to ask you for everything that is around, right? So start connecting with your child, join him, let him take the initiation, observe him. I'll be repeating these words again and again because I want parents to understand that how important it is to follow your child, to give him the freedom to take the initiation, right? So the foundation for effective communication is not the amount of language that your child has, right? But their back and forth interaction. It could just be the child brings the toy back to you and keep showing it, and you just, say, "Ah, lovely, wonderful. Oh, that's a doll, lovely. Oh, your doll has got lovely blue eyes. Excellent. And oh, look at the blonde hairs, lovely. Let's comb those hairs." And so, this type of back and forth interaction helps your child. Also have a lot of facial expressions and gestures and sounds. So this is again the basics, I mean, when you start teaching language and communication to your child, we always say, have a lot of facial expressions and actions and gestures. So again, these are all the sensory motor skills that you're embodying. And you start, and the child starts looking at you. The more he looks, the more he gets connected, and the more he starts imitating you, the more he'll start off saying words. And always remember, when you talk with your child or when you interact with him, use one language. I'm saying this because we in India use a lot of many languages. I mean, there's one that we use at home, and there's one language that we use in the school, and then there's a third language if there are other people in the house. And so a lot many times children tend not to pick up language. Whereas in the West, they have one language, that's English. And so it's easier for the child to pick up language. So if the child speaks English, it doesn't matter if he's able to speak your native language or not. Start conversing with him in English. If your child picks up the native language, converse with him in your native language. Once he picks up the language, once he has all the vocabularies, life gets very simpler and easier, and it helps them also to express themselves in their language of comfort zone, I would say. And and that helps them. So it's always easier for them to pick up one language. But if you're going to speak in more than one language, then it's kind of really hard for them to pick up a language, right? So help your child. Give your child words to help them communicate. So when you join him in his uh, activity of interest, you help them communicate. You start building the confidence in your child that yes, mom is listening to you. She loves what you're doing, and then slowly build up on their vocabulary. Now, a lot of times, children love Thomas and Friends. That's the toy train, Thomas the train, and uh, I've heard a lot of time parents saying that my child just keeps watching the same cartoon, Thomas and Friends, or Bob the Builder, Bob the Builder. He keeps going back and forth, back and forth. So just see why he keeps going back and forth on the same video. Maybe there's something that attracts him. Maybe there's something that he's trying to relate to the realistic world, and slowly try to develop his vocabulary. But observe what your child does. The key is observation. The next key is following your child and allowing him to take the initiation, right? So I would say, I mean, might run out of time, so let me just quickly wind up. So the last words are: recognize and respond quickly to your child's spontaneous communication attempts. Now, when the child comes and says something to you or is trying to communicate with you, whatever you're doing, however busy you are, attempt to him. Give him your time, because this is where many times we lose our children when they come running to us saying that, hey, and then they see that we're busy, we lose them, right? So quickly respond, and respond with a lot of enthusiasm, with a lot of hey, wow, lovely, a lot of appreciative words as well. And this will help your child really keep coming back to you to show you or get involved with you or do what he was doing. And the next is imitate your child's sounds and words as much as possible, so that he feels he's not just babbling or saying something out of the blue, right? Uh, and build the confidence in your child that their communication efforts and attempts are important and powerful. Once they feel that, yes, what I'm trying to say, mom is able to understand or dad is able to understand, they feel more confident. They really, really are. That's one thing that our children lack, again, is the level of confidence. And if we as parents don't put that, then our children are most probably going to lose the confidence to speak up, and that's when they become good responders but not initiators, right? So and as they start aging, you'll see that uh, uh, they start withdrawing rather than joining with us, right? So come to the last part of the webinar. We want our children to share with us what they are most interested and excited. What matters is the child. Focus on the child, and that's what matters the most. Create conditions in everyday life to bring out the real child, right? As I said, many times we fail to understand that what my child area of interest is, or what he really enjoys doing. So create conditions wherein your child can enjoy and get involved, and then he can come up with something. Some initiation may happen over there, well, which could be a turning point in his life. But out of everything, what matters is the child should know, I am with you. No matter who you are, no matter what your condition is, I'm there for you. Once you build up that confidence in your child, the child will just blossom, right? So try and follow these things, and I'm sure you'll be able to help your child communicate verbally in a much, much better way, right? So thank you, everybody. And we still have, oh, we were able to finish it on time. Great. So any questions, I'm absolutely open to. I'll open up the chat as well, so you can type if you have any questions. You can write as well. Any comments, any questions parents have? In this webinar, I haven't touched upon, hold on, this question thing. Let me open that as well. Okay, hold on, I can. Okay, so thanks, Donna. Yes, this is one aspect where I've always found our children are great responders, but they really lack that initiation, and the initiation is the key word, or is the key to start uh, verbal communication amongst our children. So yes, I think a lot of times when you start involving our children and helping them to initiate, you break the ice, right? So thank you, Donna. Let me see. No, not yet. Yes, Renuka, that's a very, very good question. All our children are good listeners. They do understand everything that we talk to them or we tell them. However, again, we feel that they are not listening or they are not following is because many a times they may not be interested in what we are doing, as I said. And even if he has just the basic speech, as I said, it doesn't matter how much language your child has or how many words he has. What matters is the back and forth conversations, and the back and forth conversation happens only when you get involved in the activity that your child is involved in, what he enjoys doing the most, what motivates him. Try to change this aspect, and you will see that your child starts developing. Now, to develop his vocabulary, how can you do that? You can't teach him just to use the flashcards, or you give him a list of words and this is the vocabulary that we have to learn. No, that's not going to work. What is going to work is involving in your child's activity. If, for example, if you say, you make me do something I'm not interested in, well, I may do it, but I may not do it with perfection. Or I may do it once because you want me to do it, but I'm not going to repeat it, right? So it's the same thing that happens with our children. We tend to get a lot impatient, and we think we are running out of time, but trust me, the more you give time to your child, you are investing your time. Your child is going to come up. He is going to come up with a lot more conversations with you, a lot more vocabulary you want, a lot more socialization that you are expecting from him, but give him time. That's what is the key. You know, the more patiently you work with him, the better the results. So I'm very happy to know that your child understands, but um, you know, uh, um, the thing is, give him time, involve in what he enjoys, and you'll see that a lot of things starts changing. Now, yes, again, this is a very common phenomenon with our children, that a lot of times we observe that children with autism are more comfortable with adults rather than kids. And the reason is they expect adults to understand them. You know, they feel that confidence that they are not going to be judged, they are not going to be bullied, they are not going to be made fun of, and so they enjoy being with adults rather than being with children of their age group. And this happens most of the time. And so um, what will work over here, if you really want to involve your child to play with other kids, is involving him more in parallel play. You know, and again, uh, parallel play with an adult, you start off and then slowly transition to children of his age group. One or two children who have the understanding and who can, you know, get involved with Arjun, who are not going to bully him, or maybe his cousins, or you know, children in your neighborhood can join in, right? So we have one question from Rubini. My son does a lot of scripting, and he doesn't want to be disturbed. I just talk with him about what he's talking. Sometimes when I try talking to him related to what he would immediately say, no, thank you, and go back to his scripting. Okay. So Rubini, have you observed when does your child start scripting? You know, again, scripting is many times a behavior, and we need to read between the lines. So it could not be saying that, for instance, I would say, oh, it's I would say, oh, I see a spider in the room. I see a spider in the room. I see a spider in the room. Or maybe he would say some things from his cartoon characters. He keeps scripting about it. So you need to read between the lines. That is his stress levels and anxiety levels high. Right. So, so you need to see that's the key thing. It helps him to calm down, because he might be stressed with the kind of change that is coming up, or has already taken place, or has happened, and it's again difficult for him to accept the change. So, what you can do at that time is build that confidence that it's okay. It's okay, something has changed. It could be as simple as the bed sheet on his bed has changed, you know, or you might have moved the chair from his room, and that could have caused the stress. So when children start scripting, that means their stress and anxiety levels are high, and you need to read between the lines as to what has happened, or what change has taken place that my child is stressed and he starts scripting, right? So try this out, and I'm sure it would really benefit, right? So we have one more question from Josna. My son is 8 when when he expects something and we don't understand, he gets upset, and since he cannot express his feelings, yet he gets aggressive and starts hitting. How do I address this? I understand that he's upset and needs help. Before I can help him and walk through his feeling, he just starts hitting. So, right, Josna, again, a very for an 8-year-old, he's soon going to be a young adult. So the hormonal changes are there. Again, there's no language. He's not able to express himself, and so the learned behavior is, what I want, I don't get it, I'll hit, right? But before he hits, he would definitely show some signs of stress or anxiety. He might start rocking back and forth, or he starts flapping his hands, or some signs of a major behavior coming up will be shown by him, or he starts withdrawing. So the best thing is, give him time, leave him alone, think of the most obvious thing he would like to have, and to since he's not able to express his feelings, you can start a role play on feelings, or through play you can teach him how to express himself. um, and with aggressive behaviors, yes, the best thing that has worked is a predictable environment, schedules, and having a small little basket of all the goodies that our children like. So whenever you feel that he wants something, you can tell him, go check out your goodie bag. Maybe something from there he wants, but again, you will come to know that yes, the behaviors are going to escalate and come to hitting. It won't be like the child is trying to get something and then he suddenly hits. No, there would be definite signs. And again, the more you build the confidence with your child, the more you make him feel that yes, mom is listening to you, she understands you, these behaviors will come down. If you are all willing, we can do next 2 weeks time, we can do a whole webinar on behaviors, types of behaviors, and how to do behavior management. And I can also show you some videos wherein we have children with severe aggressive behaviors, and what are the techniques that we used to calm them down. So communication is just one aspect, but there are other aspects to help children with aggressive behaviors. So we do behavior management, we do scheduling, we do visuals, we do a lot of other things to help them with their behaviors. So let me know if you are interested. We can do one more webinar on just behaviors, right? So just I would just say that check out for the signs for when he starts off with the behaviors, and then build that confidence and have a goodie bag ready, so that or a picture book if it's visually very good. What do you want? You scan through it and let me know, so that mommy understands. And slowly, it won't come in. It won't happen overnight. It will take time. So patience is the name of the game, right? Yeah. So oh, we have a lot of many questions. So we have a question. I think this would be the last question. Okay, let me finish with Josna. So when he hits, how do I stop him? Well, as I said, if you hold him, he is really going to hit you hard. And if you allow him to hit, he's going to keep hitting. So the best thing is leave him alone, leave the room, let him calm down, give him some things that help him to calm down. It could be putting on a music that helps him to calm down, give him a bean bag, give him a squeezy toy, on which he can remove his aggression, or introduce him to a pillow where he can hold on to the pillow or hit the pillow, or give him a human-sized teddy bear on whom he can punch and remove his aggression. Again, this is not going to happen overnight, Josna. You have to slowly introduce him. You can do a lot of videos, like showing that daddy's angry and what does daddy do when he gets really angry. He hits the teddy bear, or he hugs the pillow, or he sits on the beanbag, he listens to the music. So do this, make videos and show him so that he understands that when he's angry, because holding is not going to help and allowing him to hit is again not going to help. But look out for the signs when it's going to slowly escalate, right? Yeah. So Saujanya, Riyansh doesn't allow me to talk or sing with him, just he closes my mouth. He closes your mouth because probably he thinks that mommy doesn't sing the way his favorite song is being played, right? So what you can do is say a few words, sing a few words, and just hold back and see if he can continue, if he can complete that song or the nursery rhyme, right? This is one strategy. The other strategy is, if you want to sing, don't sing in front of him. Many a times, because children are so used to screen times, when they see the real person in front of them, they get upset. They really don't like it. So if you want to sing for him, sing from behind, so he doesn't turn around and see. He is involved in whatever he's doing, and you can continue singing. Sing one word and then stop, or sing two words and then stop, and see that if Riyansh can join in your singing. So that's a great way to get involved with what your child does, right? So I think we're done with the questions. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your patience, and I hope you all have been able to take some tips, get benefited from the webinar. Do let me know, and if you're interested in a behavior workshop, let me know in the group, and we can do that in the coming weeks. Thank you, everybody, and those in the US, good night. Thank you. Bye bye.